Hello, in this video, we're doing anamorphic art. Now, if you're not sure what that means, don't worry, I had to look it up myself. I knew what I wanted to do, I've seen it before. Dad and I thought, hey, maybe I can try that out. I certainly do not categorize myself as an artist, but when I look at it, I see that it's more of a technique a lot of times. And it's kind of a technique that we kind of used in a sense when we did our laser signs anyways, where we have different layers. The difference is the layers are further apart and they're in separate pieces. So started off with level 1 and then I moved up to level 2, I would say, in the way of anamorphic art. And of course this is my first anamorphic art piece. So you can see here it's got layers but further apart, and it is a Halloween sign of sorts. So that's kind of what it looks like, just more of a three-dimensional. So this, again, I would consider this like level 1 type of thing, where it's actually just 3 different pieces at different layers and glued onto the backing here. Then I moved on to level, I'd say level 2. I don't know if there's actual levels, I'm just making this up as I go. But level 2, and this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. So again, as you can see, different layers or different distances. And once you have them all lined up, it should give you an image. Now, unfortunately, this one, give you that there. Unfortunately, this one had a big knot in the middle layer of this plywood, so sorry, Keanu Reeves, but you have a big knot on where your ear should be. Maybe your ear got shut off or something, I don't know. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do in this video today. I'm going to show you level 1. Of course, very simple. Those who have ever done signs with the laser engraver and cutter, you'll have no problem doing that one. This one took a little bit more work and still needs some bit of alignment. I haven't glued them in yet. Obviously, once I have it, if I'm going to glue it in, I'm going to make sure everything is lined up appropriately. But it gives you an idea of what you can do with this stuff. It's pretty cool. All right, let's get to it. And as I mentioned in the intro, you know, I had to do a search in regards to anamorphic art, if that was the appropriate term that I wanted to use. And this is a good example here of I would say, expert level, if we're going to go by levels. This certainly would be an expert level where 4 sides have different images and using, depending on which side you're looking at it. So it's really cool. It's eventually I'd like to get to that point, but for now we're just going to go to what I call my second level of creating these anamorphic art pieces. So when we do these, as always, I use a design software. In this case, we're using Canva once again, and using their assets that they have available. Now, we do have the pro version, but you can do a lot just with their free version. Then I bring it into Lightburn, where I do some tracing, meaning I just trace out the image so we can do the cutouts. And then we ready to start up the laser. Got the chiller going, got the compressor going, then turning on the main power to the laser. And then I turn on the computer of the laser, and of course we have to take the dust off because there's a lot of dust at Dusty Workbench, staying true to our name. And then we are ready to, we're making sure that it's working. I still have the previous project still in the laser there. And turning on the power to the actual laser tube, turning on the air, and then we are set to go. Of course, in the meantime, I did put in the new wood there. So cutting out the bat and the cat here. We'll let that do its work. So the cat and bat are cut out, and now I'm cutting out the backing and the notches to put in for so that I can elevate it, sort of legs, I guess you would call it, little notches to put the legs in. You'll notice that when I'm doing the painting, I have just one solid piece of wood as the backing. I realized after that I should have had these holes already pre-cut, so that makes it all easier to glue it all together. And of course that I designed in Lightburn again as well, making sure that the notches are in the proper place. So using Bullseye 1, 2, 3 again, as with the previous video. It's not my go-to because it is more expensive. I do like just the Kills brand with the red can. I think it's about half the price, and I find it works just as well. But here we are. Of course, I'm not going to go through all the step by step of how we painted, but essentially making the bat and the cap black and making the backing orange. So this is kind of giving you an idea of what it'll look like. And then of course we just assemble it, and using some instant glue here, making sure that it's flush to the back as much as possible. I have to get a piece of plywood to make sure that I don't go pushing it through too far. And just adding the glue and putting it in place. I do think that it'll look nicer if I do put a backing on it, and maybe putting a little shelf at the bottom so they can either put it on a mantle or put it on the wall. Something like this would be really cool, right? If I had just that you can hang it on the wall that way. Maybe even have that orange part, the moon, off of that board as well, so you'd have another layer. But that's the, again, it was fairly simple. It's almost the same as doing a sign where I would have just glued the cat and the bat directly on that backing. But in this case, it's just taking it out a little bit further. And there's a few other options I have in mind at some point, but we'll have to keep that for a later video. So now we're moving on to what I said before, sort of like level 2 in the way of doing this anamorphic art. Here's an image of Keanu Reeves, and from the John Wick movie. I don't know which John Wick, but it's from one of his movies. And of course I started off in Canva and then in the Lightburn and doing the tracing, and there I had to of course cut it up and make the tracing so that I would cut up in different pieces rather than just one big piece. I wanted at least 5 pieces. And of course the laser is doing its job here of engraving the image. And again, unfortunately, I did not realize there was a knot because that was in the middle layer of that piece of plywood. Here we are cutting out all the contours of the 5 different pieces. I did make a little mistake where his collar is. I really didn't need that piece to stay. I ended up gluing it on, but I probably could have just left it off. And the same goes for his face part, the main part of his face. I probably could have just left that off and just have the wood backing. Would look pretty cool as well. Just trying to clean it up here, using the compressor worked better. I just sanded off the clear parts that weren't engraved, and then the compressor did a good job of taking all the dust out of the wood, and that's when it revealed that knot. So here's that little piece again. I did glue it on, but really I didn't need to keep that, I don't think, because otherwise I would have kept the other parts beside his tie as well. But I figured it might work better if I did have it on there. But again, this is a first trial. And here's the base. Those dots, the holes I made, the notches, of course I lined that up within Lightburn as well with putting the image where I think it should be and where I'll be putting the legs to hold up the parts. And then of course putting in the mirrored version so that I can put the back side up where I'm going to glue it, and using that piece of wood just as a marker of where I need to line up the sticks to. So I'm just doing some final adjustments here. The hardest one was to have something to hold that face because it's such a small piece and high up. So one of the things I should have done as well is in Lightburn is make some markers of where the sticks will be glued to, because that's one of the issues I found, is that I probably didn't have the sticks in the right spot according to the holes that I had made. So it looked all good on Lightburn where I did it, but it wasn't quite lining up when I stuck them all together. So here's my first reveal, and of course almost broke it by having this piece of plywood backing falling onto it. So I had to try take number 2. Here we go. The big reveal. Music. We'll zoom in and see if it actually works. And I have to say, it's not too bad for the first try, just by putting it in there and seeing if it lines up. Of course, the face part is a little bit off, and the collar is a little bit off, and so I couldn't adjust it very much with the way the holes were. And also I probably have the sticks a little bit of an angle as well where it shouldn't be. So I recut a new base. This time, instead of just little holes, I made slots so that I can adjust them in there. Unfortunately, the slots were a little bit too wide, so they're a little bit too loose as well. But just adding a little piece of paper in between for the meantime seemed to have worked. And here's the final result. So it actually looks better with having that background and not having the actual face in place. As you can see, they just sort of fall out too easily here, but I find it looks pretty cool just like that. So that's without the face cut out and just having the same colored wood as a backing. So I think that is probably the best way of doing it. So I'll know that for the next project I might be making. I'll try to do a level 3 on the next video. So I hope you enjoyed this little process here, and if that's something you're going to try out, let me know. And you can go to our website, send us an email at contact@dustyworkbench.com, and send us a picture of what you make. That'd be awesome, or link in the comments. And if this is something you'd like to see more of, hit the subscribe button, and why not hit the like button if you found this to be interesting, if not at least entertaining. So we'll see you here again at Dusty Workbench. Take care.